Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Kansas City jazz saxophonist Brett Jackson. We caught up with him in Kansas City on May 19th, 2020 during the COVID-19 quarantine to talk about this new world that we are living in. He talked about how he found out about all of the canceled gigs, what his hope is, and so much more. Dig it.
Brett Jackson.
What's up?
Hey, man. Living the dream, baby.
Is that what this is? Is that what we're doing?
It's David Lynch's version of a dream.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Something like that.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. And second of all, I understand how things come up. I was actually had to hold off on one of my interviews because I had to go swap a baseball glove out for my son. You got to take care of priorities.
That's very true. That's very true. No worries at all.
And haircuts are good. My 14-year-old stepdaughter gave me a haircut last week, and it's actually really good. So I'm saving money, getting a
there
little
you go.
style. So there you go.
It feels good. It feels good to get the ears lowered.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, man. No matter how much we have to limp through reality now because we're not at March 12th anymore, it's like we have to start breathing some signs of life into each other and not treat each other like we're in a police state. We have to start feeling the way jazz is. It's freedom. I mean, every time I ask why people love jazz, it's freedom. We got to get that back, man, because that's the stranglehold.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. It's good to get some normalcy happening.
Well, the one thing I'm really wanting to reach out to a wide breadth of artists, but I really want to reach out to the Kansas City community, and I know this has been particularly rough, and it's been particularly rough because, there was such a renaissance in Kansas City. I mean, just this town has swung in a way that I don't think we've seen for decades and decades. And I just want to know from you as we kind of delve into COVID-19 here, talk to me a little bit about when, in a metaphoric way, you saw the airplane hit the second tower. When did you notice in March that things were going to change and you were like, oh my God, this massive domino is going to fall and live jazz is done?
Well, I kind of, had been in contact with some friends of mine. I have a friend of mine that lives in Seattle, and they certainly were dealing with this a lot earlier than we were. And he, I hadn't heard from him in a long time, and he emailed a lot of us that kind of lived together in college and sort of let us know that something big was happening. This was really causing a huge disruptance. And, I sort of saw it coming on the horizon, and I was playing a musical at the time, and I think the last day that we worked was maybe March 15th, and we were going home, and they told us to just go ahead and pack up your stuff because there's almost no chance of us being back on Tuesday. So since then, we've just been kind of stuck at home and just watching, the first few weeks, you're just watching all these gigs sort of evaporate. Which was tough, That's kind of a difficult thing to see your livelihood just completely go out the window. So it happened a little bit, it happened quickly, but I did kind of see it coming a little bit, so I had time to at least prepare for what was coming.
Yeah, and I think at this point right now it's about what can people do to keep live jazz musicians going in Kansas City. I mean, even around the world, but more hyper-local here in Kansas City. So tell me, it seems rhetorical, but I know, buying music versus live versus streaming. Talk to me about what can be done.
Well, I'm fortunate. I have a good support system around me. Some people that have come out to my gigs over the years have reached out to me and tried to make connections there, and that's so appreciated. I'm really blessed to have two loving parents who are very supportive of me. So that's huge. That's when you don't want to lean on that support, but now is the time that you kind of have to. So until there are other things in place to support musicians, it seems like we're not high on the priority list of people that are getting support right now, financially especially. So as far as that goes, I'm really fortunate to not be in a really dire situation right now. But if my income was purely based on playing gigs, I think I'd be sweating pretty badly right now. So, just getting the support from fans, when they reach out and they want to see how you're doing, they want to support whatever activities you're involved in at the time. We've been doing some videos at home. My partner is a musician, which is really fantastic. So we've been recording some music together and putting out some videos together. So, we've been able to do some creative music making, which is nice. I think that's the thing that most musicians are missing right now.
Yeah, and the one thing is that we're going to get back to live music. It's going to happen, and we don't know when. This is all so much full of ambiguity and whatnot. But when we do get back, what do you hope both musician and the audience realizes about this absence and this time away from, just being able to go to the Green Lady or go to the Black Dolphin or go down to the Blue Room or whatever venue, which was just voluminous every night in this town? What do you hope that we all collectively realize about this absence?
It's really special to experience music in person and live. And when you have musicians who are playing together and cooperating and, it's like, it's the democratic process, laid bare in front of you. And just to see people interact on the bandstand, I mean, I miss playing, but I miss the hang tremendously. I miss seeing all my fellow musicians and hearing them play and all the different groups that they put together. So I think people are realizing how special that is and how rare it is to experience that. And, it's hard to capture something like that with these, with the videos that people put out. I have to say, though, I've done a couple videos with Marcus Lewis. He's put out some big band videos. And my favorite part of the whole process is when he drops those videos and I get to play along with the band. And then you can almost talk yourself into feeling like this is happening live. And, it's so exciting because we're so starved for it right now. But, it's great that people are putting together live streams and if you have the opportunity to do that, that's really fantastic.
The thing I think that I've realized in this process of talking to you musicians is that, jazz isn't a thing, an art you get into for the money. And I think the level of resiliency,
sure.
And the level of resiliency that's always been in jazz has always been intact. And I was reminded of this from the great Joe Lovano, and he spoke about how back when racism was really rampant, which was on the heels of a war, coming out of a war and recessions, that, a lot of the race riots burnt all these clubs down, and that was during a time that Love Supreme was created. And, out of these extreme things, we got these things that were created. Even bebop was created, and it wasn't because labels like Blue Note or Verve said, hey, we need to do this because we need to make money. These guys did it because they felt it inside of themselves. So, Nicholas Payton's released a couple albums that have been quarantine-driven. What do you think about the possibility of innovation and births of, sub-idioms during this time?
Well, it's certainly a great time to kind of reinvest in your instrument. A lot of us are on, I guess it was March 31st, we were informed that our landlord was not renewing our lease. So basically the whole month of April and most of May has been spent looking for alternative housing, which is frustrating. Wow. Because now is the time when you would have that, that opportunity to practice and innovate, write music, improve on your musicianship. And, we do have an opportunity to do that right now. And of course, some really great music is going to come out of this. So, I think there's definitely a silver lining there. And I can't wait to hear everybody when we're able to go outside again.
Speaking of that, I've talked to some musicians that have said, that's one thing that I've been very reassured by in a lot of interviews, the sound of birds. I've never heard more birds during interviews than I have now, which is totally awesome. Because people are outside and it's pretty happy.
Oh man, I'm transforming into a full birder, man. I've got my my bird feeders out. I'm just watching the birds. There's nothing else to do. I just watch them hang out in the backyard. It's great. It's a little bit of serenity,
Well, yeah, and I probably, the little you know about me, I'm a pretty restless spirit, so I get out quite a bit. And at one point during the quarantine, there's been some really, really remarkable moments. But one moment in particular, I'm in Lee Summit, and I'm by the James A. Reed Wildlife Conservatory, and I was up there sitting at a lake. Yeah, and I'm just looking at the lake, and I see this bald eagle, and it's probably mid-April. And this has been really ramping up, getting serious. No one knew what was going on. Surgeon General just said that, in the next 2 weeks it's going to get bad. So I'm just sitting here, and I see this bald eagle, obviously this representation of America, it's just kind of circling. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's a bald eagle, and all of a sudden this eagle flies over the lake and just plucks a fish out. And I'm looking around like something was on TV, and I'm the only one that was paying attention in the room. And this dude in a car next to me comes over and says, I've been coming to this lake for 20 years waiting to see that. And I'm like, wow. So that was like the moment that I was like, everything around us can happen at any moment. And I've always been reminded of doing all these jazz interviews. And I know it's rhetorical, but it's like, there's no way that you're going to recreate Bill Murray and Groundhog Day. What you guys do is one time on stage. And everything about this life is an instant. And it almost seems like, of all the artists on the planet, jazz musicians are the most fit to deal with this improv situation now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're all kind of having to hustle a little bit, and that's why I do as much as I can musically. Picking up the different instruments has been really big for me. That really helps to just give you a lot of opportunities to play and a lot of different types of music to play. I'm really thankful right now for my teaching. The students that have stayed on during all of this, that's kind of been my lifeblood. So I'm really fortunate to have started down that path early.
Which kind of opens up another door. One of my last points here is that, it's kind of bittersweet. I was actually fortunate to talk to Bobby Watson and do an interview around early March before anybody knew what was going on. And I just, man, he did so much for this town. And I know he did so much for you and Herman and all these cats, man. Do you think that, it's almost heartbreaking to me to see that this final journey that he was on, I know he got to go through city council and there's things that he got to do. It's kind of heartbreaking that he didn't get the pageantry that was due to him due to this.
Yeah. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for bringing in a lot of great musicians and just providing a fantastic environment for them to grow in. I never would have guessed that I would have ended up at UMKC, but I'm so glad that I did, and he's the biggest reason why. So, anytime I have the opportunity to see him or hear him, it just reminds me of how fortunate I am to have come across paths with him.
They almost should have a Chiefs parade for him.
I would love to see that. There'd be some good music, that's for sure.
Oh my God. I was thinking that too, as I've been kind of going out and just driving and looking at the world and taking in what's going on. All of those old banners off Grand Avenue are kind of fading and ripping apart. It just seems like 1,000 years ago the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man, I still go back and watch those the highlight videos of the Super Bowl and all the the AFC Championship game. I love that stuff. It does make me smile still.
Now,
I'm very glad that I was in Kansas City to see that, and the Royals won.
Oh my God, are you kidding? In 5 years, we got every sports fantasy. I mean, look at these long-suffering towns like Cleveland and whatnot. They just have to be looking at Kansas City like, you guys, man, just shaking their heads. But did you go to the Chiefs parade?
I did not. No, I was actually in rehearsals for that musical when that happened. We saw a little bit of it on TV, but I did miss that one. I went to the Royals parade though, and that was a great time.
I was thinking with this COVID thing, that's probably in America one of the last largest gatherings that probably took place. And no matter what happens, because of the razzle-dazzle of 50-year drought and just the fact that everybody's going to be COVID scared for God knows how long, that might be the last time that Americans will get together in that large capacity.
Yeah, it's a troubling thing to think about because we're very dependent on getting, people in the room to listen to us and play. Boulevardy is not happening this year. I was really looking forward to playing that, and it's just we're all just kind of hanging on until we're able to get out there and do our craft again.
It's a weird time on the planet, man, for sure.
For sure. For sure.
But, I think the one thing that's been good is I will tell you from what I've been doing with this, about, I would say probably mid-March, I literally couldn't listen to music for a few days. I just was in shock and disbelief. And then I thought the best functionality of everybody is to resume and, is like someone like me, I get a lot of CDs in the mail. It's been so good to still see music come in and feel like things are moving and to be able to talk to musicians. And one thing I've been doing is I've been putting these interviews on speaker, and my son Miles and my stepdaughter have been able to listen, and you all are just positive, and it's real, but it's positive. And I think there's a therapy that goes into just acknowledging the reality of what we're going through and just holding on to that hope.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's difficult. There's definitely times where it's a hard pill to swallow, and it's difficult to find the motivation. But it's really great to catch up with people, and the ways that we've been finding to hang out with each other. Zoom calls or phone calls or whatever it is. That really helps. We just have a great community here, and it's helping me get through for sure.
Well, I think the thing that we need to realize now as we sit in the late part of May is that we've been in this for 60 some odd days, and we're going to get to the end of it. And I know it's hard to realize or to even think now, but I mean, I was reading an article in the Star from Sunday that said that this was prior to all the openings, that a lot of states are really doing good with curves and things are looking good. And I think we've been scared so much, I don't think we're going to go back and research. Now, you're going to have people that are going to break the law and kind of pull things down, but I think we've been sufficiently scared to a point that we all know, in businesses too, because businesses have a lot at stake. If they're like, well, yeah, come on in, no mask, no this, no that, whatever, we're going to get over it. I think they have more to risk than anybody else. And if we're all going to get out and businesses tell us to do things, I think we're going to be in good shape. We've got to be cheerleaders for each other and we have to support one another in this. Otherwise, I mean, I've just been hearing a lot of people say, oh, wow, we're going to go back out and it's going to spike, blah, blah, blah. And Fauci is saying, yeah, it's doom and gloom, but we can't do that, man. We have to pick each other up now.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just love when I see cooperation from people from the restaurant industry, the service industry, and musicians, because we are linked. We are always going to be linked. And when there's cooperation between those groups, I mean, that's when really good things can happen, and that's when we're able to lift each other up. And obviously, there are some places like Sava and Corvino who have just, they've done everything they can to support musicians, and they've gone out of their way to do so. And they'll be repaid. When those places open back up, there's going to be a lot of musicians drinking at those bars.
The thing that's interesting about life is that no matter what you do or however you slice it, karma is always the equalizer. And I think it's like that last lyric on Abbey Road, the love you make is equal to the love you take. I think that's going to really ring true. Just like with this now, we're in a position where we can't control anything and Mother Nature wins. I think karma is going to be on the same tier.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. It's important to put good things out in the world right now.
Yeah. Well, man, hey, I can't wait to see you guys get back at it and get out there and play the music. And thank you for taking some time out today to talk about this strange world we're in, and stay safe. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for reaching out, and it's good to talk to you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Kansas City and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Brett for his dedication to Kansas City, the music, and the stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.